So what happens when a law firm owner who has control over most aspects of their life and they are an expert has to learn something new?
I mean, some of them are open, but it's not their comfort.
No.
So then the soundtracks
soundtracks come in, and there's no judgment in that. It is a human quality.
Absolutely. Welcome to the Law Firm Owner Podcast, powered by Velocity Work. This is the work that creates velocity. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Law Firm Owner Podcast. I'm here again with my friend Tara Gronhovd. Thank you so much for being here all the way in Denver. You've already been on. We've recorded one.
Yeah.
And we said
Which
it was
is why
very
I'm in
exciting.
the same jacket.
Yes. And same. And it's exciting that you're here. You're in the workspace. You're in Denver. But truly, this is pretty remarkable to be able to sit across the table and have a conversation. So thank you for being the first guest.
Absolutely. I'm so honored that I get to be. It feels pretty special.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Hey, okay. The other topic I wanted to talk to you about before you head back is something you led at the Shift workshop as well, or the conference. And it was a segment on what are you good at? I didn't really know we were getting into with it.
Yeah.
But the way you framed that section about, kids answering this question have no problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, you had us answer the question. I can share what I remember. Yeah. Will you take us through it? I can share what I remember that stood out to me.
Yeah.
But
I would love to hear it stood out to you. So I want you, so I'd start by just asking people, have you been around a group of 7-year-olds lately? I have a 7-year-old, and you better not ask him what he thinks, because he will tell you the honest truth.
Mm-hmm.
So 7-year-olds are both terrifying and hilarious because they'll just say whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They give zero.
Yeah.
F's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if I ask them this question, what are you good at? What is the energy like in that room? Like, what are those kids doing? They're usually excited.
Mm-hmm.
The energy goes way up. They can't wait to tell you. They're clamoring. They're kind of competing. Well, I did this and you did that.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this with a group of 7-year-olds, and I heard everything from ninja skills to nose picking. But they'll tell you, right?
Yeah.
And the energy is good. But then if I go into a room full of adults and I ask, what are you good at? What is the energy going to be like?
Shy or
the energy
closed up.
Like, I've done this many times. It just drops.
Hmm.
And not in a good way. Like, just
yeah.
like, don't look at me like, vibe. Like, please don't make eye contact with me. And I might, depending on the group, I might hear one or two things people feel comfortable saying they're good at. But for the most part, people won't share in a group either,
Mm-hmm.
right? What they're good at.
Mm-hmm.
And, so what happens between childhood and adulthood that completely changes our perspective on that question, and completely changes how we want to answer. It goes from exciting to answer to awkward to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I facilitate this with groups of people, we spend time talking about what happens. But then at the event, I said, now we're going to practice. And I set a timer, and I made everyone write for a full minute. When I do it with smaller groups, I do it for 2 minutes. And I tell you, write everything you can think of that you're good at. And if you're listening and you're not driving,
mm-hmm.
and you're somewhere with a pen,
mm-hmm.
I want you to stop, pause, hit the timer for 2 minutes, and write everything you can think of you're good at. Mm-hmm. And my guess is almost none of your listeners will do it because no one wants to.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're in a room with me, they have to, because they have to. That's why I like what I do, because I get to make people do things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I have them count, and almost never do we get more than like 5 to 7 things on a list. But for 2 minutes, there's plenty of time. If you were writing about a loved one, you would have had a lot more things on that list. And then we talked about, like, what are the common broken soundtracks that I see with people when they talk about why that was hard for them.
Okay, so that's what stuck out to me. I don't think I knew where you were going with this when we started the exercise. So I wrote things down. I think I had 7, which you said 5 to 7 is like the average.
Yeah.
And the stuff I wrote down, I don't remember if it was before or after you mentioned the soundtracks. Probably after, because I started thinking, what's my soundtrack about that one? What's my soundtrack about that one? And there were some that when I looked at it, I was like, am I the best? I don't know. Like, just like, maybe I should cross that one off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
You were second guessing. By the way, I never said you had to show it to anybody.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. Exactly. No one was seeing my paper. But there were certain things that I put I am the best at this thing.
Yes.
And then, so I was just the ones where the soundtrack was broken. I could distill it down to basically not enough something. It's not the best because it's not enough, or it's not the best because I don't put in enough. Like there's always a not enough thing.
I could be better.
Yeah. I could be better. I mean, that just, yeah, exactly. I could be better. But I could pinpoint things in work. Like there was a couple of things in work where I think I'm really good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, that's interesting. I think I made it about the best, even though you said, what are you good at?
Yeah. So a lot of people do that.
That is totally what I did.
Yeah. So there's 3 very common broken soundtracks. One is I'm not the best at that, so I can't write it down.
I definitely did that. I didn't realize right now that was not what you asked. Yeah.
I asked, what are you good at?
Yeah.
And good is kind of subjective. So how hard are you on you?
Right.
The second thing I hear a lot is I'm not as good at that as this other person. Like I know someone better at that than me, so I can't write it down.
Right.
Or sometimes a variation of that is I was told once I wasn't good at that, even though I really like it and maybe I am good at it.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that they would. So the third thing is what would they think?
Mm-hmm.
Who's they? They weren't going to see your paper.
Right.
So all of this inner wrestle is happening in our head.
Yeah.
All of the time.
It's noise.
It's noise. We have 60,000 thoughts a day.
Mm-hmm.
85% of them are negative. And about that many are the same. And so we have these negative neural pathways in our brain telling us that we're terrible and beating us down.
Yeah.
And there is real legitimate work to do to rewire our brains.
Yeah.
It's funny that when we did that in the group, there's 350 people. And when I had everyone raise their hand about how many.
Yeah.
And the people who had the highest, one of them was a client of mine. Oh. And the first time I ever did that with her, it was 5 to 7.
Oh, wow.
And now she's at 20.
That's so
when she did that exercise.
Yeah. It is funny. You do draw a blank. Like you might think of a few things, but I didn't just rattle off 7.
Yeah.
I mean, I rattled off like 3.
Right.
I mean, one of them, which this is a little embarrassing to say, one of them, my first one I wrote down was hugging. I am
You are a good hugger.
The best at hugging.
I just got a really good hug when I got here.
Yeah. And not like, it's not too much. It's not too little. It's like a proper hug. I'm a good
Goldilocks hugger.
Goldilocks. A little. So like, I was like, come on, what else is going on? So I had to think down and it took a bit. I mean,
I actually love that you wrote hugger.
I almost regret saying that, but
because knowing your strengths and relator, I actually love that hugger was the first thing you thought of because people are important to you and your relationships are important. And
definitely.
So I also love looking at what's on people's lists.
Yeah.
Because there's interesting things that you can interpret off that list of things that you think you're good at.
And just so everybody knows, I'm not like, I don't hug everybody every time I see them.
That's not one of those weird
I'm an appropriate hugger. Like I'm the best at hugging.
I said Goldilocks.
So anyway, the reason this struck me is because I think when I looked at it at some point in your conversation, it was like the theme, and I put in quotes, not enough. Like all the things that I was like, should I scratch that off? I'm not the best, which by the way, that wasn't your question. So crazy. It was like, what is that soundtrack? Because I don't feel like I have a soundtrack that's like, I am not enough. Like I don't identify with that.
Yeah.
But clearly
it's subconscious.
Yeah. There's some subconscious things within elements of my existence. I don't know if it's everything, but it's pervasive enough. And then John Acuff, who sort of follows, you guys did such a good job of like teeing each other up for the talks.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It's like an element of how tied in you guys were and locked in. But he picked up on that and used it in his soundtracks talk. And you just realize how affected you really are by soundtracks that are unconscious. I think I just recorded another podcast about my learnings from that day. And I think I defined it so I should know it, which is a soundtrack is a thought that you've thought so many times it's part of your identity. Is that how he said it? It's like
I don't
it was
remember
like
how
the
he said it.
definition was good because it was like you've played it so many times it's a part of your identity. There's something and I thought so interesting. There's all these little ways that they're sneaky.
They are sneaky. And you almost need exercises like that to realize that they're there.
100%.
Especially if you're not coaching, because in coaching, I catch people in their soundtracks all the time.
Definitely.
Because
and I am a coach of
Right.
sorts, and
Right.
you are a coach
Yep.
in your own lane. Like, I know this stuff. I've been
Doesn't mean
eating
it's
and
easy.
breathing it, and then you still don't see it. You always have your own blind spots. So
yeah.
it was really, I wanted to have you talk about this here because I'm just thinking of the law firm owners that
Yeah.
I get to work with that
Yes.
they all deal with this, and lawyers intimidate people. They walk around, they're super smart, they've done a lot, they have businesses of their own. The ones
They like being smart too. They like being
100%.
the expert, which there's nothing wrong with that, but they like being the expert.
They are control freaks. They are they're dialed humans.
Yeah. So what happens when they have to learn something new?
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point.
So what happens when a law firm owner who has control over most aspects of their life and they are an expert has to learn something new?
I mean, some of them are open, but it's not their comfort.
No.
So then the soundtracks
soundtracks come in, and there's no judgment in that.
Mm-mm.
It is a human quality.
Absolutely.
It is a human quality. I was just, we were just teaching our grounded leadership cohort soundtracks a couple weeks ago. And I shared, I've been working on my soundtracks with intention for 3 years. That's how long we've been working with his work. And they still are there. So you can't define success as them going away.
Mm-hmm.
Success is noticing them quickly and then knowing how to turn them down.
Yeah.
Like I just had a really cool thing happened, a really exciting thing happened. And immediately my soundtracks went through the roof and I knew they were there. I'm like, oh, why can't I just enjoy this cool thing that happened? And I got myself there. It took me about 12 hours.
Yeah. And probably 3 years ago, it would have taken you 3 weeks.
Or longer.
Yeah.
Or I would have walked away from the opportunity and the cool thing.
Yeah.
Because I would have talked myself out of the cool thing.
Yeah.
That had happened.
It really, it drives everything. I talk a lot about, what is going through your mind, your perspective, your thoughts. It affects how you feel.
Yeah.
That affects the kinds of actions you'll take. And that will affect the results that you get. I really do believe that. There's exceptions to every rule. But generally speaking, I think that's something that's a good way to reflect on how things are going. But the soundtracks conversation was a very good inlet to that work and to seeing things even more clearly, I think. And your talk about what are you good at and having to write that down and seeing how many you can get in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good exercise. Anybody listening, you could just put a timer on for 2 minutes and write down what are you good at.
Yeah.
And then
try not to have a filter.
Yeah. Just go for it. And then as you go back, and the reason I went back is because you made us partner with someone.
Yeah.
So I was partnered with Mika on my team.
Yeah.
So I was saying, and I was like, I was hesitating to say it out loud. And so then started talking about soundtracks. I write down what is my soundtrack about each of these? And then the ones that were broken, it was all it's a not enough something. And I bet that everybody sort of has a pattern.
Yeah.
What's the pattern?
Right.
And just being aware of it
for sure
is enough to just think,
and then we talked about how your strengths can actually help you catch your patterns.
Totally. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Help you identify what they are.
Yeah. I know it was a quick sort of overview for people, but why would you say this is important? Why did you bring it up?
Well, I brought it up because I wanted people to see that our mindset impacts even simple things like being able to say something we're good at. What is wrong with saying we're good at something?
Mm-hmm.
And if we can't say we're good at something, we're not going to learn. We're not going to grow. We have to be humble enough to recognize what we are and aren't. And also it was to highlight the fact that there were probably at least 3 broken soundtracks that showed up for all 350 people in the room through that one exercise.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty simple thing, right?
Yeah.
So also we have to dig deeper to understand, like you said, that not enough. You don't feel that in your kind of front of your life.
Mm-mm.
But clearly there's something operating in a through line in your operating in your brain.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it takes a little bit of work to get awareness around what those broken soundtracks are and how they might be holding you back.
Yeah. Mine were a lot around action too, which is classic for me. I haven't done enough. I don't have enough under my belt. I haven't studied that enough to say that I'm the best, which was not your question.
Nope.
Was not with your best.
Nope.
So anyway, yeah, I think I wanted to talk to you about this because I know that the people I'm lucky enough to work with, they all have this too in their own way.
Yeah.
And, you asked earlier in the other conversation that we had, like what holds people back. We were talking about what emotional well-being, what holds people back from being able to make strategic decisions. And I think this is sort of plays into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's sentences of doubt and fear that exist you cannot hear. Like you don't hear them, but they are running the game. And finding ways to be in tune with them. And this exercise felt like a really great way to be in tune with them so that you just start to wake up to, I guess that is part of me somewhere. Like somewhere in there is I believe that. And if that's true, then like you just start to just awareness.
If that's true, if you can't write down that you're good at that thing, what does that hold you back from? How does it hold you back from even leveraging your strengths to their full capacity?
Exactly. From making the strategic decisions that you should be making.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many owners do you know say, like, I know a lot of owners who say, well, I'm not strategic, so I'm not going to take time to do that because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's because they're telling themselves, but anyone can follow a process.
Yeah.
And get there.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. So fun.
Thank you for listening to the Law Firm Owner Podcast. If you're ready to get clearer on your vision, data, and mindset, then head over to velocitywork.com where you can plug in to quarterly strategic planning with accountability and coaching in between. This is the work that creates velocity.